Record to the cloud.
I did it. I did it.
Okay.
Do I have to start over? Yeah.
It's
Okay,
on.
No, you,
okay. So basically, Erin, you're first.
Yes. Garrett Levy, I'm a member. John Racine is here and I care.
Jim,
Jim DeRocher, I'm a member and I'm alone.
I'm sorry. Anna,
Hi, Anna Skillings. I'm an alternate member and there's no one in the room with me.
Amy,
Amy Dill, I'm a member. I'm here alone.
Rich,
Rich Rita, ex officio select board. I am alone.
how about the kitty?
Not
Lucy.
yet.
Rebecca,
Rebecca Hastings here, and I am by myself in my art cave, and I also
Wow.
care.
Wendy,
Wendy Rathgaber, member. I'm here on my own.
Jeff. Did I mispronounce your name?
Oh, you're muted, Jeff.
Mute, everybody unmute.
Jeff Soper, I'm a member and I'm here alone.
Okay. Ann Skillings, I got you. Jim, I got you. Rich, I got you. Jean Mullen, unmute yourself, Jean. Jeannie, unmute. You're gonna make me figure out how to do it.
Might be able to just hit the space bar.
Got it.
Okay, Jean Mullen, and I'm an alternate, and I'm by myself.
All right, why doesn't everybody just unmute themselves, at least for the time being? Mark,
Sean, he can't hear us.
who can't hear us?
Sean Ward, this one.
yes, sir.
You got it.
What, I told everybody on mute. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark. Say who you are. And
Oh,
that you're-
Mark Dakota,
you're
I'm in
all
my
powerful.
office. I am in my office and there are people here.
Oh, goody. Sean,
Sean Ward, not really sure what my status is. I was invited. I'm interested in all of it and would like to help and participate. There is no one in my office that I know of.
okay. Did we miss any, hello? Did we miss anyone other than me? This is Mike Coppell. Tina's in the other room and she comes by periodically. And I am a member and the chair, and I think that covers everyone, I think.
We missed Eric Barth. He's not here.
Well, no, I don't want to say I don't care if he's not here. I
The
care.
roll call should just be for full and
Roll call
alternate
of
members.
people that are actually present.
All right.
Not people who are on the meeting, but just full and alternate members, because then
And
the
right,
chair
he
has to
is-
seat.
Right, he is neither.
Okay.
All right, so basically. Is Jim, I didn't see Jim.
Jim's here.
Jim's here. So basically,
Mayhew.
we have all 7 members. All right, so it is not necessary to seat anyone. However, since we are a democratic, open type people, everyone is welcome at all times to voice their opinions. However, only seated members will be able to vote. Okay. Prior minutes that Rich, oh, do we have a secretary?
Not yet.
We need someone to volunteer to be secretary for this meeting. And I think we're going to try and do it on a rotating basis since no one wants to step forward. Don't all jump at once. Jean,
Are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you. Can you do it? Can you do it this time for us, Jean? I would really appreciate it.
I will try.
I appreciate that. Okay. Has everyone reviewed the prior meeting minutes that Rich sent out?
Yes.
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 Does anyone have problems with said minutes?
No.
All right, can we have a motion and second to accept the minutes as written?
This is Rich. I will move to accept the minutes as written.
Can you vote? Can you do something that for something you already wrote? Never mind,
Sure.
I'm only kidding. I'm only
This
kidding.
is, this is Jeff. I second.
Okay. All right, Mike Coppell, aye. Amy,
Aye.
Rich,
Rich, I.
Wendy,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
The minutes are accepted as written. Okay. I think I sent out to everyone. I'm pretty sure I sent out to everyone. The, my suggested, with help from several people, procedures. All right. If you did not get them, I sent it out to everybody. If you did not get them, let me know and I will actually read them. Or maybe you want me to read them anyway. Shall I read them?
I don't think that's necessary. They
I
look
don't,
good.
yeah, I don't think you need to.
I didn't think so either, but I mean, I've tried to be really, really transparent and send everything out as I get it and to everyone.
Yeah, I like the revision. I was gonna make some
Yeah,
comments.
revision.
Joel,
is
but
better.
Yeah. So does anyone have any comments or complaints?
I don't have any complaints. And I don't know how thorough you feel you need to be, but just from the other things that I sit on, procedures usually include things like, I was just thinking about that when you asked me to be secretary, is a time that the minutes have to be sent out to all the members to review, 7 days or something like that. And
I thought about that.
and I don't know if you want to get into all that at this point and just wait maybe a while.
I think that I think that some of those things are valid, but especially since we don't have a sitting secretary and it kind of rotates, that is something I think we can add when we meet again in May. And see if we can draft someone permanently.
Beggars can't be choosers.
What's Mike doing? What's Mike?
So I have
Go
one
ahead.
comment, Mike. We're only seeing your eyes. Can you tilt your computer a little bit forward?
Sure.
Thank you, Jeff.
Wait a minute.
No, it's just-
You know, now you maybe hit the PC and
That's better. Okay.
different screens going here all the time. So many different things that I have going on. How's that?
Perfect.
All right. Now you can see the rest of my ugliness. So, does anyone else have any comments about the procedures?
No,
I'd like to, this is Rich, I'd just like to expand on paragraph 3. Something I
Paragraph.
learned that having been in various positions in municipal government here in Waterville Valley, we've got to be really careful about having personal conversations with anybody about this issue, anything to do with solid waste. State law governs here, and if you do have a personal conversation, whether it's an email or an actual in-person conversation with somebody, you ought to let the chair know, who can then decide whether it's necessary to inform the committee before the whatever the upcoming meeting is, or at the upcoming meeting. It's just a matter of record keeping. And on that issue too, I would alert everyone to the fact that least according to the manual I have from the state, any of our records can be subpoenaed in front of a court, which
That
means
is true.
they could come and ask you to dump your cell phone, your iPad, your desktop completely, so that a court can look at it if there's ever a case that comes in front of the court that involves Waterloo Valley and solid waste disposal operations. So just something to keep in mind that you're now subject to when you start sending emails, even if it's just a simple email. And we should, as Mike has pointed out, we can't really talk, because once there are 4 of us, we are therefore organized as a committee.
Right.
We can't talk about solid waste issues.
So I have a question. So I'm still waiting to make sure I'm allowed to do this from work. And this is probably an example. But is there a best practice, or should we have our conversations over audio versus sending emails or anything like that?
We shouldn't have electronic conversations at all. So for an email, like if Mike sends something out to inform us and someone has an opinion about it, you should hold that opinion till the meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Informational conversations are okay. Like,
Right.
hey, here's something you should look at, or hey, here's a agenda. But actual discussion, rendering opinions about a matter is something we have to avoid. I see Mark wants to opine on this, perhaps.
No, I just want to offer that if there is anything that Mike wants to distribute, please do it through Sharon and I. That way you guys are not having an ex parte communication. We're providing everybody on the board the same information. And so, and if you want to reply to anything that you received, if you send it back to us, we can send it out with the agenda or that sort of thing to make sure that everybody is getting the same information at the same time. That's really what the right to know law wants, is to just have this as a board conversation when it comes to MSW topics.
But Mark, I've been trying to be super transparent because I've been involved with that, where
Sure.
some of my federal committees that I've been involved with, they have actually gone through my emails and everything else. So I do understand it. All the stuff that I've sent out, which are purely informational, as you've seen, I think you're on the list. You want me to just have you do it, or shall I just continue to do that?
Yeah, just send it to either myself or Sharon at Town of
That's fine.
WV.
All right, because I have some stuff that I just got from Jim that I'm gonna review tonight, hopefully.
Yep, just send
And
it.
I'll
back
just,
and we'll get
I
it
will,
to the committee.
after I go through it, I'll send it to you or Sharon. I have to talk to Sharon tomorrow or Thursday anyway. And I will do that.
Oh,
But
I have a question.
Yes,
So if we are meeting as a subcommittee, like we are part of the recycling committee, everything that concerns recycling through the 4 of us, are you saying that we need to
It can't
share
be
it with
4 of you.
everybody?
It can't be
No.
4.
It
can't be 4.
of you.
Only 3.
Well, we're 3 and 1 has not participated, so
Okay, so
it can be 3. Jeff, Rebecca, oh, it's 4 of us.
If you set up a subcommittee, I
Yes.
think it's just easier to send it through us, at least initially. That way we'll make sure that the whole subcommittee gets it.
Mhm.
And then if Mike wants, we can also send that subcommittee information out when the agenda goes out for this meeting. However you want to do it.
Mark, my understanding as well, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm not as up with New Hampshire law as others. But my understanding is if there is a subcommittee that meets, regardless of how many there are, minutes are supposed to be taken and made available to the entire committee.
Yes, technically there should be, but there's no statutory requirement on that. But whatever information you share, everybody needs to get the same information.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Okay.
So because there's not a quorum of the board, you don't need to really keep minutes, but if you do distribute information,
Mhm.
then you should distribute the same thing to everybody.
So an example would be if Irit spoke to Hannaford's and they said we recycle plastic, and she should send that to you and you would make sure that goes to the whole committee.
Yeah, or,
Correct.
yes, or if you guys talk about a particular recycling thing as the recycling subcommittee, whatever information you wanna gather should come to either myself or Sharon, and then we can send it out to the rest of the committee when the agenda goes out. It's like the information packet that I do for the selectmen, or the principal does a principal's report to the school board. It's the same thing. Just make
And the-
sure you're all getting the same
Right.
info.
Right.
And just to clarify for subcommittee size, a committee could be 4 or more people as long as only 3 are on the board. Is that correct?
That's correct. You
Yes.
could have 5 or 6 people on a subcommittee as long as only 3 are members of the overall solid waste committee,
Including alternates.
Yes.
including alternates. That's
Right.
correct.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Now, but also understand that if I go and drive over to Tamworth, for example,
Mhm.
and meet with their planning board and talk about in detail their recycling, for example, I should get permission from the entire board before I do that.
Unless you just represent that you are.
Unless I
Mike
go in and
Capel.
say, hey, I'm Mike Capel, I'm nobody.
Right,
It's true. But if I go and say, I represent the town, I represent the subcommittee, I represent the committee, you have to have permission from the entire committee, and maybe depending upon what you are doing and or saying, potentially also the select board.
that's the best rule of thumb. And the other thing is, whatever information you gather from Tamworth, you shouldn't then go out and have 5 different conversations with 5 different members of the board about that. You should write up a report, or you should gather that information so that we can share it as a group.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
If you do it one, number one, I was gonna make a foolish comment, but I know better than to do that. And
All
does
right,
everyone
so-
understand?
So I guess my question is operationally,
Yeah.
should we send it to you, Mark and Sharon? Because I think about recycling 24/7.
Yeah.
And how many emails do you want to get from me?
Well, as few as possible, please. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can, if you're gathering information, we don't have to see every single
Right,
bit of information, but if you want to do an aggregate
right.
Got it.
weekly thing, or after a subcommittee meeting, do an aggregate sheet of paper,
Got that.
that's the critical thing.
Okay.
But the key is it's got to go from me to you and Sharon versus me to Irit for Irit to distribute, right?
Yeah, you
That's
guys
what
should
you-
not distribute information to each other.
Amongst yourselves,
Okay.
correct. Does anyone
Oh, no,
else
here's
have?
one, sorry.
Oh, no. It is as someone who has unfortunately been on a federal committee when they did indeed do everything, it is incredibly important to make sure that all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed with this, or we all get in trouble, starting with Mark. Does anyone have any other comments, questions regarding the procedures?
I have
Can I-
one question. I'm sorry, whoever taught, go first.
No, go ahead, Jeannie.
I was just gonna ask, actually, Mark, whether does the subcommittee need to notice when they're holding a meeting? A formal notice, or more notice to board members, or?
No,
And-
they don't, they're not a quorum,
Right. As long as they are not a
as
quorum.
long as they're not a quorum.
Right.
And then it's not a subcommittee meeting. Right. Just my quick question is, I noticed that we have in our procedures that, people can watch the video recorded on the WV YouTube feed. Are we not uploading? I didn't see the notice here. Usually you see it on the screen. Is that incorrect?
I did not
in
do,
other
I
words?
did not do a YouTube feed here, but theoretically, you can take this recording and post it to YouTube.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure we plan to do that. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll deal with Sharon and Mark, like I said, tomorrow or Thursday. I have to go up there and do various and sundry stuff. Technical term. So does anybody have any other comments, questions, or complaints?
I'm not really clear on the numbers 3 or 4 of the subcommittee. So I think on the recycling subcommittee, we have
4, I think.
4, Anna,
Yeah,
Jeff,
and
Rebecca,
Rebecca.
and myself.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
4.
You can't.
We can't what?
And therefore,
Can't have 4?
Not 4 members, full or alternate. You can have up to 3 full or alternate members.
Okay,
Unless everyone is invited. Which
And
makes
it's
it a
notice.
full committee, which makes it
okay,
an outrageous
all
full
right.
committee.
So one of us 4 should be an alternate. That's the bottom line, right?
No,
No,
Can't
No,
even be an alternate.
an alternate counts. It is anyone that is on the committee as a regular voting member or an alternate are all counted as the 4.
someone needs to drop off.
You can have 4 or more people on the subcommittee as long as only 3 are members of the MSW committee.
Full or alternate.
Correct.
Correct.
okay,
Got
And,
it.
and the
Okay.
intent in the subcommittee is to bring in other people to
Right.
help. Yeah.
Right.
so are we okay?
Absolutely.
Are we okay with the way we are? No?
One of us has to drop out of from what I understand from the MSW committee, but can still be part of the recycling committee. Or can be,
Or the other way around.
Well, I would rather have it the other way around, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
I would rather be just the recycle committee and not the full
A full member?
MSW committee. Does that mean I still get to vote? in
Where?
Recycling?
No.
Or
Well,
no?
No,
We don't have to vote.
Okay,
right. The answer to that is no. However, you can be a contributing member of the recycling committee
Okay,
if you are no longer a member of the committee.
all right, so why don't we all think about this and we'll continue on and we'll figure out by the end of the call who's doing what. That way people have a moment to contemplate.
okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I think the only real subcommittee that we really have is the recycling subcommittee. Eric, do you want to, or does somebody on that committee want to present any kind of report as to where you are?
Yes, so this is what I think we should do. We did take notes. I took notes at our last workshop. So we have Jeff, Rebecca, myself, and Anna. Is it okay if each of us speaks for a few minutes on
Sure, go ahead.
what we've gathered?
Sure,
Okay, do you want me to start?
sure.
Okay, so what did I do? All right, I spoke about promoting limited recycling at the supermarkets that already exist. As I have said, Hannaford and Market Basket are the only 2 supermarkets in town, Plymouth, and we're trying to focus on what Watervillians can do. And so these 2 supermarkets have a successful program with a company called Trex. Most of us know what Trex is. They take the plastic bags and the film and produce bags and all that stuff, and they produce a decking material or benches, and they're very successful. Market Basket actually makes a profit from this stuff. So to encourage people to reuse their bags, reduce all that, it's all there on their, on the bin at the entrance of each supermarket. And I've spoken with the managers. I'm still in communication with corporate of both supermarkets. And by the way, these are not the only stores that have this partnership with Trex. So Home Depot is part of it, Stop and Shop, and plenty of other supermarkets in the country. So what they do is the supermarkets each bring their stuff to corporate. Tewksbury is the corporate for Market Basket, and somewhere in Maine for Hannaford, and then Trex comes and picks it up. We're talking about tons and tons and tons. So it's a great way to get the plastic out of our water, out of our air, out of everything, out of the landfill especially. So that was that.
Excuse me, Eric, may I ask a question? This is Rich.
Please.
The recycle bin you're talking about are those blue garbage bins with the little round hole? Is that
Yeah.
is that the
Thank
only
you.
place?
Thank
Yeah.
you for asking. So
Yeah.
I'm in conversation with them about that. I said, if you put the blue bins out, then people are going to throw their water bottles and stuff in. I'm not sure water bottles count, but the Trex
don't.
bin, the Trex bin is actually a translucent box.
Oh, okay,
Market Basket has it at their entrance. And
okay.
they put up one of our laminated Trex recycling posters that Sharon was awesome about copying for us. So Market Basket has it right. They called me and they said, thank you for doing this. And on another point, Earth Day is coming up, and I'll be speaking to corporate about putting up a banner and assuming that not everyone knows that those towns like Plymouth recycle. And so people should just start thinking, just be mindful to reduce, to reuse, and recycle. So they're working on that. What else? Anna is doing the other part with the posters.
Right. So I guess I have a question too. I did email it to the elementary school families just as kind of an outreach to them in case they didn't know about the program. But I also wanted to maybe put some posters around town, like at Jugtown and the post office. And it on nowhere on the poster does it list or mention the MSW committee. So is that allowed to post those, or? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mark's-
think, you know, if you just get, yeah, here we are, so we can all say
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
it's between
Yeah.
meetings, I think you can just go to Mike and
Yeah.
ask his permission.
Yeah, most of the time, all you have to do for something like that is talk to me, and I
Okay.
can say, okay. I mean, I saw it at the gym, and I've seen it at the gym, and it's not a problem. It's pretty straightforward.
At the
And it does not mention. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the gym at the athletic club?
Yep.
Yes,
Oh,
I put
okay.
My
one
gym.
up there.
our
You
gym.
put one up there. Okay.
Rainey wanted to put one up, so I said,
Right.
go for it.
And
Yeah,
once,
it's first.
once you bring it up to the committee or get Mike's approval, there's no problem with having a little source attribution, like Waterville Valley Municipal Solid Waste Committee on there somewhere,
Okay.
advertised.
Right. And you have my blessing.
Okay. Thank you. I will proceed then. And yeah, I guess, yeah, I was focusing more on, this was kind of my thought, is an outreach program, maybe more relevant when we get back into the high season of ski season, but both Jeff and I are involved with BBTS. So kind of doing a bring it home campaign for any of
I'm
the,
gonna give you a factoid.
okay.
All right. Which season would you say is the highest trash season and or rental season of Waterville Valley?
So I guess my assumption of ski season would be incorrect.
Your assumption of ski season is incorrect. It is summer.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe
I
we,
know that because on the planning board housing committee, we found out. My guess was the same as yours until I did the research.
yeah. All right,
And
well,
Either way,
yeah,
Yeah.
either way, then I guess maybe to
Oh,
start
wait a
it
minute, wait a minute. That does
earlier.
not, wait a minute. That does not mean, that I didn't mean to discourage you in any way. I just think it's interesting,
Yeah.
you know, as they say, a factoid. Summer
interesting.
is huge. Summer
Yeah.
is huge. And, you know, in talking to friends of mine around the valley, and maybe Mark can fill in the blanks here, they're expecting a pretty big summer here.
That's great. Yeah, okay.
Is the way, I'm sorry, and I had a question.
Yeah,
Would another way to advertise this, if we want to do it, is put it in the quarterly water, sewer, and trash bill to, now, if we
Oh.
agree that it should be town policy,
mhm.
and this will eventually, I mean, this will have to be approved by the select board, but do we want to go on record as a town recommending that people bring their trash back to their
not the trash. only the
hometown?
recycling.
Well,
Not their trash.
I don't know, Mark,
They're acceptable plastic, because it is not, I had a class on this, amazingly enough. It does not apply to all plastics.
Mhm.
are we talking about just recycling plastic? or-
Just film plastic, right?
Recyclable plastic.
Well, and any
I think-
recyclables,
Yeah.
any,
Yeah.
I mean, glass,
Yeah.
plastic, aluminum cans, anything that is recyclable but cannot be recycled here at this time. You know, even condo boards could, you know, communicate to their association members to, you know, the same thing, bring it home, bring your recycling home.
Well, wait.
Well, I think that the-
Got to be very careful there. All right?
Okay,
This is
That's
we
what
have
I'm
to be
asking.
Careful about.
But I think the powerful thing here is just some kind of announcement, right? To get people to think that Waterville Valley is looking to be more sustainable.
Right.
Is a really good thing, right? Because
Right.
I know for me bringing stuff home, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Right? If we can get people bringing it home, and then the next iteration is, hey, you don't have to bring it home anymore, then we're going to be further along, right? So,
Right, but the other thing that we have to remember is my understanding of Trex is that the plastics that are usable in that area are not all plastics.
But she's not talking the trash.
she's
Right.
just saying bring it home.
Recyclable at their.
Let me now let me tell you my issue with bring it home. We have to be a little careful when we tell people that they should bring it home, because does that mean that we are opening up the suggestion, because we already have this happening, where some people are bringing their trash from home here?
Yeah,
So if we're saying it's okay to take it one way, does that mean it's okay to bring it the other way? I mean, we gotta be a
Well, I
little,
think,
you know what I'm saying?
I think that's obviously a possibility, but I think if you just say, hey, we're considering becoming a more sustainable community. And while we get our hands around, you
Right.
know, how we can provide that service to members of the community, you know, if you have recycling in your hometown, consider bringing it home.
yeah.
Plus,
No.
it keeps people in the habit of separating. They're not
Right.
on
Yeah.
vacation from
Right.
recycling. They're still.
Consider, not do it, just,
Right.
you know.
not a directive, but right, but a
But it's
Please
not a
help
direct-
us.
And the
Please
nice
help
thing about ski season is things like BBTS are very homologous groups of people, right? That you can, they're not the transient people, they're the people here every weekend. And if, and that's a lot of people. So that's the future, but I think that's really powerful.
May I
There are lots of
suggest
things we
that
can do in the future.
if the committee agrees with the suggestion, whether we put it in, you know, the official bills or some other method or use other methods to advertise this, that this go forward to the select board as a recommendation, because there are intergovernmental or other town issues. I just don't want to cross other towns, I guess, as a select board member.
Yeah.
I think the select board would just want to think through it a little bit. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
what you
got-
think, Mark.
Yeah, I think we should just have it as an agenda item and go over that. We're gonna need to it's sort of related. We were talking to the recycling subcommittee, and we're already gonna have a conversation with town council regarding our contractual obligations. So.
Yeah. I read the contract. It is interesting.
Can I speak to the, as a lodging member or non-member here, can I speak to the?
Sure, go
lodging?
ahead.
I wouldn't, as a hospitality owner, I would not be comfortable with the idea of suggesting people take their trash with them out of the community. Just from a customer service point of view, I don't think it represents a very good customer service approach. From a trash approach, it makes perfect sense, but from a customer service, it doesn't. But that does lead me to a question for Irit on this topic. It sounds like we're suggesting that people bring this stuff back to the supermarket.
All right,
Is-
perhaps I wasn't clear. To the supermarket, it's only the plastic bags, the produce bags. It's not the water bottles. It's not the
Right.
hard plastic.
Not any other recyclables.
Right.
And
The poster is actually very well done with this regard.
yeah,
I do understand
pictures.
that aspect, yes.
Yeah, we're
I-
not,
Sean, we're not asking anyone to bring trash home.
Right.
That's not even, no, not a thought. What Mark and I have talked about in the past is making a plea for help. Could you help us out until we get a program running?
Right. So my
Could you
question
help us out?
this with the supermarket and the Trex plastic specifically.
Yeah.
Is it possible, and how long before we could implement this? Is it possible to have Trex receptacles here?
Hmm,
Would Trex come here to get them?
mhm.
And if not, is there some other way we could collect these items here
Yeah.
and get them to the supermarket without every single individual bringing their stuff to Plymouth?
See, I don't think it really applies to your overnight guests. It's more for the people who are here on a weekly basis or more long-term, those who shop. So it's not an extra effort, really. You go shopping for food, you're there. It's,
Yeah, this wouldn't be a place that we would mandate that
no,
lodging people do it. It's more, hey, if you go shopping here, consider taking your plastic bag with you.
yeah, that's all.
Right?
I think-
That's all we're doing. We're not,
I think we're conflating two issues here. There's the Trex and then there's the other recyclables. With regard to Trex, I think the questions that Sean asked be very good questions for the recycle subcommittee to look into.
Yeah.
To see, if any of those alternatives will be good. I like the idea. I like the questions he was asking. Affirmative answers may be a good thing there. With regard to other recyclables, I think there may be more to it that meets the eye than just asking people to bring their recyclables home. I don't think it would be a problem, Sean, so much for lodges, because we're talking about people, like if we put it in their quarterly water, sewer, and trash bill, people who stay in lodges as transient guests, wouldn't necessarily be part of that. I understand your concern, and I do think we have to be a little bit careful. Again, that's one of the issues I think we need to think through before we go forward
Mhm.
with it. And again, is this something else that the recycling subcommittee can perhaps noodle through a little bit more?
Yep.
About these considerations?
so,
Okay.
can I clarify something? From what you're saying, are you saying that people who come to the valley for a weekend to ski, whether they own a condo or they're staying at at a lodge, we don't ask them to take it home to recycle? Because if we're just wanting the people that are here to recycle, we're already got it at home. But we're talking about more than residents that take it home, aren't we?
Well, yeah, but the big question is that the plastics that qualify for Trex, and again, that the poster is really, really well done as to which it is. Those items, we are saying, those of us that live here, those of us that have that come here seasonally, those of us that have extended vacations, whatever, these people go into Plymouth shopping in the main. They can take those plastic bags that they've gotten at the supermarket, or they put their apples in, whatever, and they can bring it back to Hannaford or Market Basket. And that makes sense. The big issue is making sure that everyone understands that plastic which qualifies and that plastic which does not.
Okay, I think I probably missed something because I haven't seen the poster, but it only refers to plastic and that's all?
Oh,
Only
it's
refers to
plastics
certain
and-
plastic.
and
Like
film.
plastic bags, dry cleaning bags,
Only-
things like that.
Only the plastic that we know is recyclable at Hannaford Market Basket.
No, some of them are not marked recyclable. Bubble wrap that you get from your Amazon packages, that is recyclable in Trex. So it's the loose film, loose plastic, dry cleaning bags, the liners within the cereal boxes. It's all listed on.
think
Bread
Well,
bags,
The-
produce
the-
bags, yeah,
The poster is outstanding.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
It
but what-
has the
explains.
committee seen it? Has the committee seen the poster?
It's in the post office. It's,
No, that's
So
not,
maybe,
That doesn't work.
that doesn't work.
all right, so I have a better idea.
And
I think we have bigger fish to fry right now instead of spending our whole day on whether we should send it out with the bills or not.
Right.
Maybe we should just keep moving forward.
okay.
Yeah, I do want to say that another thing that the recycle committee could look at, it fits in with the Trex is also the idea of what do they call it? The reusable shopping bags, grocery bags. Everyone's back to allowing that now. And is there a possibility of having like Waterville Valley or other type? I think, Mike, you had some thoughts on
well,
this matter.
it's actually my magnificent wife's idea.
Right.
I was in Hannaford yesterday. I would say there was somewhere between 30 and 40 shoppers. There was one, me, that had reusable bags. Now, reusable bags are a tremendous, tremendous asset as far as avoiding a lot of this issue. And my wife's idea is that we should have reusable bags that says Waterville Valley on it or something along those lines. And basically, we're not trying to make money here. We're just trying to get our people, what do you call them? Watervillians?
Villains.
Watervillians.
Watervillians to use those bags. Now, whether we sell them, Hannaford has great bags. Market Basket has pretty decent bags. I saw some bags today when I was over at the Jugtown. Their bags, I don't think are as good as the others, but these bags are not that expensive to have made.
My only, sorry,
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt. my only comment is if we're looking in the grand scheme of things, I think that's great. But I think we have bigger fish to fry because if we're talking about, all of these people that are transient, the bigger fish to fry is a solution for the town
Mhm.
instead of
Right.
me using a recyclable bag.
I
Right?
would
I
agree,
mean-
Jeff, but I would say as someone who's wrestled with this, at least as a select board member over the last 2 or 3 years, I think these baby steps would be very helpful to
Yeah.
get, at least to get moving. Things like letting people know that all about the Trex issue, for example. I did not know that. I did not know that I can take plastic bags and several other things. And if there's a way we can get that out to just the townspeople, that would be great. To me, these are the sorts of things the recyclable subcommittee should be, the low hanging fruit, go for it. And then you're going to have the big issue to deal with at the 800-pound gorilla, whatever it may be, or gorillas, I think.
Gorillas
that
is
you're
the
also
right term.
dealing with.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, I like short-term wins sometimes.
Mhm.
this is a relatively simple, short-term win. Whereas I think an overall solution is probably not a short-term situation based upon everything else that's going on in the valley. But you guys talk about it.
Yeah.
That's my feel.
Yeah.
I am
Okay.
on board with the reusable bags concept. I think it's great. I do think it applies to transient guests as well. You know, as a restaurant operator here, we do takeout. Currently, our takeout goes in a probably very bad for the environment plastic bag,
Oh,
And it-
bad man.
and it ends up in a trash bin.
Oh,
And
Sure.
if we could develop a decent but affordable reusable Waterville bag, just speaking for myself, and I know there's a dozen other business operators, I think that bag would leave our place of business for its purpose then. And I think many of them would end up traveling with people back to wherever they came from.
okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so we'll look into that and get some
Yeah.
more information for you.
Okay.
But I'm with Jeff that you guys need to.
Right,
can
we need to move
to
on.
the other big-
Okay.
It's almost.
All
So,
right, that is really the only subcommittee that has been working. I'm assuming everyone knows from, what?
I think we have a couple other things we want to just mention.
Go ahead.
So the first thing is, in terms of glass. Now, we don't have a place to put glass, okay? But glass has a financial benefit to Waterville Valley. And the reason why I say that is we're paying $35 a ton to dispose of our solid waste in Bethlehem. We can sell our glass for $25 a ton, minus what the transportation cost is of the glass, which the last quote that I got is about $38 a ton. So if you take 38 minus 25, that number is cheaper than $35 going to the landfill. Suffice to say, you need to be able to put the glass somewhere. You need to be able to gather it, and there might be a financial cost that Jim has for gathering glass, because you need to get enough glass to be able to do that.
And it has to be clean.
It just has to be empty. It can have tops on it. I spoke to a company based in Chicago that recycles glass for insulation, for new glass, for sandblasting ships, for also roads and backfill and stuff like that. So I just want to leave that out and say,
that's good.
for those of you that say glass is a net negative, the answer to that it is not. The second thing is there is a market for aluminum as well. And there's a company, Schnitzer, that has a facility in Concord. They have one in Everett, Massachusetts that I drove by, and they will pay for aluminum. I don't know what the answer to that is either, but I know when I go to the Freestyle Lounge at the Mountain, there's a whole lot of, bud cans. I don't know what happens with them. Maybe they just go to the landfill. So the last thing is, I think Casella might be willing to provide some solutions other than, doing door-to-door pickup. So that's a place that, we can potentially lean on them, assuming that, we're allowed to legally communicate with them around things like, would they pick up glass or would they pick up cans? And I know it's a more complicated issue because of space and things of that nature, but I just find it kind of appalling that I have to bring my aluminum cans and my glass and my plastic, 100 miles away to dispose of it. And that for those folks in Waterville that want to actually recycle, there should be a solution to make it easy for those people that actually want to do it, maybe not townwide. So that's just kind of my.
Okay, but I think what you have to do is at the subcommittee level, come up with a definitive suggestion.
Mhm.
Does that fall under recycle as well, I assume?
Sure.
Yeah.
That is clear. Those things are
Yeah.
absolutely recycle when you talk to some of the towns that are around that recycle.
Yeah.
All the things that were just mentioned
Mhm.
are recycled at those locales.
It is, Mike, and this may lead us to another topic on the subcommittees. I think a lot of it would then fold into or be transferred to the what you've labeled a cost subcommittee.
Right.
I would call it maybe operations instead, because it would include costs and its various elements, such as user fees, but also cost to do things, as well as access and other operational questions.
Okay.
So I think this is something a recycle committee could put forward a suggestion, and then it would go to, say, the operations subcommittee to see what is actually doable as far as the town is concerned.
My only suggestion there is, I think so far we have Mark participating on our committee periodically. So, we are getting some information around, cost and size of our facilities and that stuff. So you could absolutely create a whole nother subcommittee to do all that stuff, but I'm not sure you're actually going to be saving that much, adding another layer of complexity.
Well, the operations subcommittee will be looking at that particular issue, say of aluminum and glass, within the context of other operational considerations that would not be discussed by the recycle subcommittee. So it wouldn't be a bureaucratic layer in that sense. It would be referring it to a committee whose remit is to look at it in terms of cost as related to other operations.
I thought that was one of the things that we were doing, because we're not recommending recycling in a vacuum. What we've learned from Mark is
you are not charged with dealing with cost. Cost is a separate subcommittee, as was stated in all the subcommittee listings that were sent out.
All right, so I'm a little confused from the standpoint of, do you want us just to say, hey, we should recycle glass? And then leave it at that and say we should recycle aluminum?
No, if you want to say, for example.
What do you want us to do?
If you want to say we should be able to recycle glass, and here is an organization that will take our glass, all right, and then send it off and say they will take it from us and then turn it over to an operations committee, who then has to figure out whether we have room to do this, what kind of structures we have to construct to do this, how much it would cost to do this. All right. Now, if you want to do all that, all right.
I thought that's what we were doing.
No, that you're exceeding, so your cost is not in that group that is a separate subcommittee. It was stated as a separate subcommittee.
No, I think, Jeff, that you would, for example, I'm sorry, go ahead, Wendy.
With any of these things, there's going to be overlap because
Yeah.
it's going to
Absolutely.
be interwoven together. So it'll be critical for the recycling committee to say, oh, here, like what Jeff just said, here's the reason why it makes sense to recycle glass, break it down monetarily.
Right.
And, maybe the cost or operations, whatever you call it, committee looks more at the nitty gritty of, well, here are our trucks and here's what else they're doing. And, a lot of stuff that's not necessarily recycling purview, but will overlap.
Mhm.
I think
Right.
that's the point.
Yeah.
So it's
And
going
the
to
other,
be
right.
gray areas.
and there's other things we're gonna have to think about, where we're gonna have to pull in the select board and Mark and a lot of other people that says, okay, does any of this have to go through town meeting?
Mhm.
For example, I don't know the answer to that. But if there's an initial cost involved, maybe it does.
Well, yeah, but I think you're misinterpreting what I'm doing. And I think you basically said that I shouldn't be asking about cost. I was thinking any solution that we do around recycling and this was from Mark, should ideally save the town money. Okay, if it doesn't save the town money, and if it costs the town money, then, you know, that's a whole nother issue, right? But
See, I don't agree with that.
well, that's what I heard from Mark.
From an environmental point of view, personally, I'm only speaking personally, but from an environmental point of view, from a good citizen point of view, if you come to me and say, okay, Mike Coppell, it's gonna cost Mike Coppell $50 to do this. Mike Coppell may say yes. You tell me it's gonna cost $50 a year. If you tell Mike Coppell it's gonna cost me $5,000 a year, then I'm gonna say no. So I don't agree with you that it has to necessarily break even or make the town money. We have to sit here and say, we do things in this town that do not necessarily bring the town money in an environmental point of view. We do it with our trails, we do it with our other things. So that we like to think of ourselves as an environmentally friendly town. So the question becomes, I don't agree with the supposition. The question then becomes, how much? So that's my take as Mike Coppell.
I was just saying the lower hanging fruit is to be able to do things that don't cost the town money, i.e. bringing your bags to Hannaford's. That's it.
easy.
That doesn't count. You know, as soon as we start saying, hey, we need to, you know, buy $1 million plot of land to break up our glass, then, you know, that becomes a bigger issue, right? But
a much bigger issue.
Right. So what I'm saying is that the way I envision what I was doing would be, we would be talking about what solutions can we put forward, and is there some general economic, is one less economical than the other, right? Because ultimately it does come down to money. So if recycling glass is going to save the town some money, and it means that Jim doesn't have to drive a truck to Bethlehem, you know, that's a great thing. But if Jim driving the truck down south is going to ruin the truck, maybe it doesn't really work. So that's the way I was kind of looking at it. But I'd be happy to just provide, you know, broad brush solutions.
No, I think you and Mike are saying exactly the same thing. What Mike just summarized, that, you know, the cost benefit analysis would be part of what the operations committee did, the subcommittee did. You guys going out and getting the pricing and talking to Jim and doing some of the comparatives so that you're not proposing something that's way out there,
Right.
is a good way to start from the recycling standpoint. So exactly what you have done is exactly what the recycling group subcommittee should do. Then all Rich was saying is that information gets passed on to the operations folks.
Okay.
And then they do the more detailed analysis.
Right.
And go from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
That makes perfect
I
sense.
think your approach, Jeff, is exactly what the recycling subcommittee should be doing.
Okay.
And gather some of that financial data.
And options.
Yeah,
One of the
and options. Yeah.
If you come up with options.
Yeah.
That then the, I guess it's the organization committee or whatever, they would take those and start to fly with.
Right.
You know, what's feasible, what's not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's all I thought we'd do. But I thought having an economic component to that would be important.
Well, it's
They're just throwing stuff out.
Right. Jeff, there's also two parts to an economic situation, as you know. One is a recurring and one is an investment.
Yeah.
And we have to take both into consideration. All right, you're familiar with that. So that's also things things that we have to do.
Okay.
I just want to provide information that ultimately other people decide on.
Okay,
That's all I
so do we have anything else to go over here, or shall we move on?
Move on.
We should get,
I
Go
don't
ahead,
know
Wendy.
what committees, I know what committees I suggested I could be in, but I don't know if I'm actually in those. Should we review who's in what committees?
Yes.
So basically, Wendy, there's not a whole lot other than the recycle committee that you and me, or Rich and me, wanted to be involved with. Now, if other people now want to be involved in those committees, I have the list somewhere on a spreadsheet on.
I think they
One of
were
our ministries.
operations and out of the box, or the cost and out
Yeah,
of the box of the
so
two.
one of the things that Wendy talked about was really out of the box. And, you know, that's such an, and Wendy actually asked me a question, for example, about composting as an out of the box solution. And other things, we really need to get a cost / operations committee.
Right.
And we also really need that out of the box because there are things in our solid waste area that we really have to get involved with. The operations committee really has to break down, I think, even more, because operations is what's going on with our current operations. When I get around to sending out that information to Sharon or Mark tomorrow as to the number of trips, number of pickups each quarter, each month, is going to be very interesting for people to look at.
Yep.
As far as cost is concerned, it's really going to be when I finally look at it. The question of some of the things that we don't know, as far as other things that we just don't know. Cost as far as our residential costs that just doubled. All right. But we are still running, Rich, you can correct me, but it's like, estimate is like $125,000, $130,000.
It would be something, it would be something like that. But I think for the purposes now, Mike, I think it would be useful just to establish what the two other committees are, subcommittees are, if we want to go with those two, and who wants to serve on them to make sure we have the right mix. Don't have too many of, members.
Yep.
And then perhaps someone from each one of those subcommittees can write up a little blurb as to what its remit is, what are we looking at? And then run it by everybody at the next meeting.
Because waste disposal was another suggestion.
Yeah.
About Mike. So there.
That was the waste disposal, which comes back to one of my other questions. I sent out to everybody, and I know I'm jumping here, but I sent out to everybody the town ordinances. Mark, you're on there now. My understanding is that at least recently, we have never fined anybody for not following town ordinances. Did you leave me?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have to drive my son to lacrosse. Is there anything official I need to do to leave the meeting?
Yeah, let's get our priorities straight.
I'm the driver tonight. I can't help it.
No, you're not seated, Anna. You're not seated, so.
Okay.
see
Just
you
wanted to
later.
clarify.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mark, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Am I correct in my presumption that, or what I was unofficially told, that we really haven't fined anybody for not complying with the solid waste dumpster regulations, ordinances? I'm sorry, it's not a regulation, it's an ordinance.
That's correct, because usually we can make phone calls and get the situation corrected.
No, I understand. The reason I asked the question, all right? And I know that I'm jumping down to the review of ordinances, which I shouldn't do. We'll come back to that then. Privilege of the floor, we've kind of been allowing it.
Can we pick our committees, Mike?
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
pick
can
our
Sure.
committee.
Let's get our subcommittees.
Oh, hang on. That means I need another piece of paper.
Let's
I
do
just
that.
lost my piece of paper. Okay. Go ahead.
Now, I would propose we have an operations committee, which would subsume costs and other issues. And perhaps as opposed to out of the box, maybe you can call it waste disposal. Because that's kind of what we're looking at when we're talking out of the box, isn't it? But I just throw those out there.
Yeah, but see, I think waste disposal
That's-
is a broader definition, because out of the box could be something, for example, like composting, whereas waste disposal really gets back to,
Right.
which is part of operations.
Trash.
Well, that's my point on out of the box. I think it doesn't strike me as a good committee, because out of the box could be subsumed into the other committees for the mid and long range issues that they're dealing with as well. I'm not sure why we'd have a separate committee that's looking at an out of the box, so to speak. Let the different committees in their areas look at out of the box areas.
What
All right,
if,
so
Isn't-
go ahead.
isn't-
what if we called it special waste? So it's not garbage, it's not recycling, but it's things like pumpkins and Christmas trees and compost and.
Isn't compost a recycle?
That's how I would
Yeah,
look at it.
it is.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
I would say yes, but I'm not a real compost knowledgeable person.
No,
I
I'm not
did
either.
look it up after Wendy suggested it, however.
Well, the one thing is we have enough people, right? So we
Yeah, we
said
have
that every
plenty of-
group is 3 people. So if we have too many people, you got to put them somewhere.
all right.
Out of the box. Put them in the box.
All right, so wait a minute. Let's talk about the cost operations committee,
Okay,
all right?
Yeah.
So that should be people that are currently not involved with recycling. So who wants to step up?
Well, I think you should, because you're coming from an accounting background.
Mm,
Okay, so I'll put me down.
oh, boy.
Yeah, this is Rich. I think as a select board ex officio, that would be a good one for me. to
I
be
think
on.
Rich should be on it too. I want one more.
I would like to, unless there's too many other people.
Who said that? I'm sorry. I was
Amy.
writing. Ann?
Amy Dill, Amy
Me.
Dill.
Amy? All right, so that's our 3.
But we could have more as long as they're not committee members.
Right, but
But from this group, that's all that can participate.
right, that's
Right.
all, if we know other people from outside of our group that would like to get involved,
Hmm.
we can involve them. And I'm sure there are people from the town and other areas that would want to be involved in that as well. All right, so
John, what
then,
committee were you looking at?
who?
I'm torn because I have a lot of ideas on operations. I'm an operations guy. I run 6 businesses.
Welcome to the committee, subcommittee.
I guess I'm also very interested in the recycling piece. Maybe I could just provide them with my thoughts and they could run with those.
You could be both. I mean, you're not you could certainly,
Right.
you
Right.
could certainly, yeah.
I'll do both. I have ideas on both sides of that equation.
All right, so I'm adding Sean to that and I'm adding Sean to operations. Okay,
So
Didn't we
what-
have a 3-person limit?
Yeah, so
John's not on it.
No, he's not a member of this committee.
He's.
I'm a
we're gonna stretch him as far as we can.
so I have one quick question. If we have
Yes,
if we have 3 people on the committee and then a fake person on the committee,
a
Then you're
fake
okay.
person.
Fake.
Wait, if
Is that
we
what you're
have
saying?
3, we can have 3 members and as many people from outside of the committee as we want,
Okay,
as that committee wants.
and do they need to be
On a
listed
subcommittee.
as part of the committee for
No,
us to be able to talk to them?
wait a minute, those
No.
people,
No,
those
no,
people.
they're on
will
the
be-
subcommittee.
You're on the
we- we-
subcommittee.
committee, yeah.
You're
On the subcommittee, yes, they would be listed as a member of the subcommittee,
Of the
but they're not a
subcommittee.
member of the solid waste committee.
Okay,
Got it. Okay.
But Mark, I see your hand
They
up
will
there.
be able to attend, as a non-member, they will be able to attend all
okay,
committee meetings,
okay.
because
Okay.
our committee meetings are open.
So what's the
Mark?
difference
Mark?
in showing up?
So,
What?
hold on, Gene, I think I'm gonna answer your question. So the 3 So let's get terminology consistent here.
Mhm.
Everybody here except for Sean is a MSW committee member,
Mhm.
either a voting member or an alternate. Okay?
Yes.
Only
And you-
3 of you can participate in a subcommittee,
Mhm.
because when the 4th person joins in, you now have a majority
Uh-huh.
of the 7-person municipal
Okay.
solid
Right.
waste committee, okay? Sean is not a member of this committee, the overall committee. So he can participate in as many subcommittees as you want. And you can have 10 people from the public help the subcommittees, whatever the subcommittee wants to do. Okay?
Correct.
And then Jeff asked the question about having, sorry, we're very energy conscious. So,
Well, I thought maybe the
so
power went out again.
Jeff's question was, can he have discussions with these other members of the public? Yes. As an individual, you can talk to the public, okay? Just make sure that they understand whether you're doing it as a citizen or as a member of the MSW
You should,
or recycling subcommittee, okay?
let me make a suggestion from my history in various things. What I was told to do many, many years ago is that if I was going to discuss something outside of a committee, for a committee that I was in any way involved with, my immediate thing I should say is, this is my personal opinion,
Right.
not that of the committee.
Right.
Okay.
And so you can have those conversations all day and
Okay.
not have any problem, okay? So it's just that internal communication that you've got to watch out for.
Can,
Right.
can Sean then, can he vote if the
No.
subcommittee makes a
Sean,
vote?
Sean just provides discussion. The vote has to be taken by the people who are on the committee in this meeting,
Right.
okay?
What about subcommittees, Mark?
Subcommittees can deal with it however they want.
Right.
But it's really going to be the 3 MSW committee members who are speaking for that subcommittee to this whole group.
Okay.
But he can vote. Sean could vote in subcommittee.
Wait a minute, Sean can vote at the subcommittee if the subcommittee has procedures that allow that.
Yeah.
Right.
And normally I kind of recommend in those situations that they kind of in their minutes for that subcommittee actually state that members who are not part of the MSW are allowed to vote exclusively in our subcommittee.
Yeah. And
I think we're trying to make this as simple as possible to start with. We have plenty of stuff to do. I don't think we want to make this any more complicated. It might be more complicated in 6 months, but
Yeah, I agree.
Can I clarify one other thing? Sean then is
Sure.
being 2 committees. One is the cost/operations. And what was the other committee? Subcommittee?
Recycle.
recycle.
Oh,
Recycle.
recycle. Okay, thanks.
So
But again, there is a difference between a member of the public and someone who's part of a subcommittee, whether they're a full or an alternate member.
right.
Okay, so each subcommittee has to decide on the procedure. And I think at the committee level, we ought to agree that subcommittees could be a certain size, and that subcommittee members all have the right to vote at the subcommittee level.
Right.
Because you could have other members of the public talk to a subcommittee, but they're not a member of the subcommittee.
Right. So just deal with it this way. The subcommittee can do whatever they want.
Right, subcommittee can have their own procedures.
And the only thing that we ask is that the communication from the subcommittee to the committee, okay, one rule, that communication be through the town office, okay? And that it be summarized and not be a whole bunch of different inputs.
yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
one summary input that comes to us and then gets shared when the agenda goes out. for you guys to discuss and the subcommittee to do a presentation on whatever.
Okay.
So I have one quick question, sorry, and
Yeah.
I'll shut up after this, but but we're still focused, like if I wake up and I have a great idea, I should be sharing that with you and Sharon before I share it with Eric. Because otherwise,
No, within your subcommittee, no, you guys can talk about, you guys, because there's only 3 of you, you can't make any decisions, right?
yep,
So you guys can share ideas back and forth, whatever you want.
okay,
Within
perfect.
the sub-
And my thought was, why not have one person, and Eric is the chairman of the committee.
Yeah.
Why don't we have her communicate with you guys?
Yeah, that's fine. That's much easier for us.
Yeah,
Much
Yeah.
easier.
But that again goes
All the
back to,
subcommittees do that. That would be much better.
that goes back to every subcommittee should have their own procedures. And you're absolutely right. A spokesperson for that
Yep.
subcommittee,
So just.
Okay.
that's the way to
spokesperson.
do it.
So we've staffed out the operations subcommittee, right, Mike? You, me,
And
Amy, and Sean so far.
Can I,
Right.
Rich, can I just make a suggestion?
Mhm.
Sure.
Since the operations, could we get one other person's viewpoint and maybe not have you on it?
Okay.
Because we're gonna be involved at 2 other levels, here and then at the selectman level.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it just will help, I
Yeah.
think, to get differing viewpoints if there's someone else who wants to participate.
I will be happy to give up my position.
So you got.
My plate is full.
Does anyone else
And-
want to do operations?
I'd be willing to do it.
yeah,
Okay, Jim.
Jim?
Yeah, that's Jim.
perfect.
Who is that?
Jim.
Jim.
Okay. Okay,
Jim is with Black Bear.
right.
So we have an out of the box, Mike, or are we gonna call it something else, or?
You know, I like having, and I've always liked having a call it whatever you want, but it is a group of people who basically have no constraints. All right? They are, I'm gonna come up with this totally weird idea and I'm gonna pass it on to this committee or that committee, but we are gonna come up with these out of the box things that may not work, but it may, and it is something that we can pass on.
Okay.
That sounds like fun.
That's always been my philosophy. And Wendy, my friend,
Yeah, Wendy, out of the box.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wendy's gonna do it. Who else?
I will always work with Wendy, so I will.
Becca. How about Miss Becca Hastings?
I didn't hear her say anything.
I know.
Scared to death to say anything. My God, all these. Did I talk to the wrong person? Did I ask the wrong?
So if Becca moves to the out of the box,
That would help you guys in recycling.
That will
yeah,
help you in
and that's
recycling.
not to say that we're not going to listen to you. It just means you're not going to be an official member of the committee.
Perfect. Then I've got Sean, who isn't a member, Wendy, me, and Rebecca.
Okay.
Do we know what
Okay.
Eric, do you remember what Eric wanted to committee? He
I
wanted
think you want
subcommittee,
it out
wanted
of the
to be on?
box as well.
You want out of the box? Okay.
Well, if he wants out of the box, I'll drop off.
No, you don't have to, because he's not a
Oh,
member
Eric
of
isn't,
the
Eric
MSW.
is not a thing. So, but we can put as a slash Eric. Okay,
Who's on it now?
the official members are Wendy, me, and Rebecca, and we have Sean and Eric as people that are going to be outside members.
No, they are subcommittee members.
They are,
Mike.
I'm saying outside,
Public.
Right.
I misspoke, but they are people that are members of the subcommittee, but not members of the.
Right.
MSW.
MSW.
Mike is not on the out of the box subcommittee.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, wait a minute.
No, you
Wendy
were
Wendy and Becca.
operations cost.
Mike and Rich,
No, Rich is off of all
Rich is
subcommittees.
off of everything. We're throwing Rich to the curb.
Okay, so Mike and Rebecca, and who was the other one?
Wendy.
Wendy.
I've got Wendy.
So I have
That's all right.
Mike, me, and Rebecca.
And
Eric Barth.
Barth.
Oh, Eric,
But Eric is not a member of the full committee, so that we can include him.
okay.
Okay?
So in operations, you have that down, Gene?
Operations, I have Mike, Jim, Amy,
And Sean.
and Sean.
Right.
Right. And I would strongly recommend that each of these subcommittees, one of the first things they do is write a little paragraph of what it is they do, like what they consider their remit to be. And then that can come up in front of the full committee at our next meeting so that we can all agree. You don't agree, do you?
Lucy.
You know, you were supposed to tell us when someone else comes into the room.
All right.
Okay? That's an hour and a half, which is about the length of time most people can concentrate.
Did we not have a waste disposal committee? Did we nix that?
That's part of operations.
Okay.
All of them are looking at waste disposal.
Yeah, everybody is.
So Mark, did you say that we need to wait to hear from council as to whether we can speak with Casella or Wheelabrator or anybody else? Did you get a word from them?
That's correct. We need to talk about it at the next.
Oh, you just.
Yeah,
just lost you.
So, yes, the selectmen need to discuss what town council told me before we make any contacts outside of North Country Environmental.
Okay,
Okay, so please do not speak with any other company or contractor until the selectmen have had a chance to review that.
When will you be doing that, Mark?
A week from tomorrow.
Okay,
but as a private individual, I won't be representing the solid
No.
waste committee, but no,
Don't,
not
no,
even.
please don't.
not,
Please
okay.
don't.
You are
We
not a
are-
private individual, Eric. You are a member of the Municipal Solid Waste Committee.
The bottom line right now is we are in a contract.
Okay.
We
through
have,
May of 2023.
we have contractual obligations, so we need to just do this through the selectmen for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've read that contract. It is interesting. I read both contracts, actually.
So
Thank you.
we'll deal with that. We'll deal with it, Mike.
Yeah,
The
They're
selectmen will
interesting.
come up with a,
I will probably attend and listen.
Calendar now.
well, yeah, okay.
Mike, could I recommend that we put off the mission statement discussion till our next meeting? Just to
I
move
was
things along?
gonna suggest that, we're getting at that point of time.
Yep,
I think we've gotten an awful lot done.
yeah. Let's
We've
set
got
a
a
date.
tremendous amount done.
Let's set a date for the next meeting.
Well, we are based upon our procedures. We meet the first Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
Are there any other agenda items that we haven't discussed that we want to defer?
Well,
I
there
have
are
one-
items that we have to defer, costing and stuff, revenues and stuff. I want to, we'll talk about reusable bags again the next time.
There's plenty to talk.
Hey, I
about.
have one quick question
Yep,
for Mark. I think it would be really helpful when you're talking to town council about that communication piece and understanding it from the perspective of if we can't communicate with anybody outside till 2023, then, I mean, we're really neutered, right? I mean, it's impossible to make a decision without understanding, does somebody want to do business with us and what they can and what they would charge? So I think that'd be really helpful, so we're kind of not spinning our wheels.
Absolutely. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of things between not saying anything, and when you can start saying anything and saying things provisionally in the future. But that's all stuff that when we see what town council had to say, not what idiot Mike's reading is. But that's why I will attend that meeting next Wednesday. I'm putting it in my calendar.
Mike, did you
On
want
the
to
14th.
defer review of ordinances as well?
I think I want to defer the review of ordinances, because the other thing I want to talk about is the fees / penalties that are in there. And I know that there are certain dumpsters that are bigger offenders than others. All right, and you know, if you call somebody once a year, that's one thing. If you call somebody 6 or 7 times a year, sometimes the stick means more than the carrot. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that I wanted to talk about. You know what I mean? Or am I totally off base? You know? So let's postpone that. You're looking at me with a hairy eyeball there, my friend, Rich.
No, everything is good. We'll see what the specifics are when you discuss it. Unless
Yeah.
there's information you want to pass around ahead of time.
Well, no, I mean, it was stuff that was told to me, but we'll discuss it when we discuss it, because I don't have a piece of paper to give you. I'll send around that other information. I'll bring it over to Mark and or Sharon either tomorrow or Thursday morning after my planning board meeting. That's kind of interesting as to the number of things that are there. I think everyone will find that interesting.
Yeah. Could I clarify just one other point, going back to the Trex? Did we want to put some kind of announcement? Because I never knew about that. And do we have time, Mark, to put something like that in the upcoming? We don't have time.
They're already stuffed.
Okay.
The bills are already done.
All right. I was thinking, just trying to get them out, but next.
I have
quarter.
a different question. And I suppose that I might even, could we say that even though it's too late, maybe if a member of the recycle committee drafted an article for the wigwag regarding that?
There's
Already,
already one in the wig. Here it did.
it's already
It's
done.
already been printed in the wigwag?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I remember seeing it. Okay.
It
And
might
that's
happen
fine.
twice. We might do it again.
Yeah, we have 3 more billings this year, so we're always looking.
Yeah, we can do it in the
for
next
improvement.
billing.
So,
Again, that chart that was put out was really well done.
And that actually gives us time maybe to relook at what you folks in the recycle subcommittee want to do with the other recyclables. This
Yeah.
idea of recommending people take it home, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to throw things out before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I have a question.
Wait a minute, my wife has a question.
Why can't you take a picture of that poster and put it in the wigwag and post it places?
It's already being.
It's already a
drafted-
bunch of places.
Already being drafted for the next
Yeah.
May, so.
What's a wigwag?
Oh, wait a minute.
The
The
town,
wigwag is the town newspaper. It is extraordinarily expensive.
It must
It's
be, I've
a
never
monthly.
seen it.
You cannot send your children to college if you subscribe to the wig. I shouldn't say that. It's what, $20 a year if they do it online, something like whatever. And if you just go online to wigwag.com or something like that, it'll show you how you can subscribe to the wigwag.
It's a monthly, Amy.
It's
If you're-
monthly.
If you
It's
don't
Mark.
want to, pay for it, you can go to the library and read their copy.
You can also buy them.
You
You
can
can
buy
take a glance at it at the post office and the
Yeah, you
bookmonitor.
can buy it.
Yeah. But the best thing to do is if you just have it sent to your email, it's like $20. It's
It's a nonprofit and they spend money for various initiatives in the valley, so
Yes.
you can feel good about it.
All right.
I've got to actually hop,
okay.
so,
Well, okay, wait a minute, let's take a quick vote then.
okay.
Vote.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
I'll second.
Anyone second?
I'll second it.
Do we have to vote on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Jeff,
All the roll.
Bye.
Eric,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Eric,
She already did.
Jim,
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
and Mike Capel, aye.
And Rich, I.
And Rich, aye.
Becca.
Becca, I thought she left.
No, she's not seated.
She's
Oh,
not seated. Hey,
right.
I'm not.
all right, guys. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
We
you.
had a great meeting.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good.
Yep, first Tuesday in May, 4 o'clock. I am ending said meeting